Chris, go. Go, Chris, please, go.
Juliet.
Just don't say anything. Just go.
Juliet, I can't
Don't
bear
make
it.
it worse. Go. Go.
Yes, all right. Ask Constable Bentley to show him in, please. Come in.
Thank you, Constable. How do you do, Mrs. Darnley? I believe we have a mutual friend, Councillor Allport.
How do you do? Please.
Well, I'm very glad of this opportunity to meet. Councillor Allport always speaks very, very well of how things are now. And Superintendent Lake, he's another very good friend.
Well, and what can I do for you, Mr. Lawrenson?
Nothing, really. I mean, of course, personally for me, that is. May I just fill you in a little on the background? Yes, well, as I say, my name's Lawrenson. Sam Lawrenson. I'm managing director of Gumley's. You'll know them, I expect. We make weatherproof clothes, tents, that sort of thing. As a matter of fact, our factory's that very modern-looking one up on the industrial estate. You know, the one with the big sort of Scandinavian roof?
Mr. Lawrenson.
Yes, well, no. Yes, that's not really very... no, of course. So I'll come straight to the point, if I may. It's one of my employees.
And what about one of your employees?
Well, I'm very worried about her. I look after my staff, always. Ask any of them. And in this particular instance, it's not just an ordinary member of my staff. She's my personal assistant. And I'll be absolutely honest with you, I can't even begin to imagine where I'd be without her.
And what has she done, Mr. Lawrenson?
Oh, she's done nothing. No, that's not it at all. No, it's her husband, you see. It's worrying her terribly and understandably. And if something could be done about him...
I don't wish to appear rude, Mr. Lawrenson, but I have a great deal to do, as I'm sure you'll appreciate. Now, perhaps if you want to make a statement, one of my officers outside would be better...
Dear, do please forgive me. Now, that just gives you an instance of how much I'm worried about it. Mrs. Darnley, may I just ask you this? Do you believe in letting men out of prison on parole?
Well, it's the law of the country, Mr. Lawrenson.
A most tactful answer. Yes, neither do I. I think it's utterly ridiculous that a thoroughly dangerous man like Mrs. Granger's husband should be let loose on society again.
Dangerous?
Bank robbery. He got 10 years for it. I remember it very, very well. There was some very strong feeling about it at the time. And now, would you believe it, here he is, being let out on parole today. Today. He's due back home this very morning, I believe. I mean, really.
Mr. Lawrenson, if he's been given parole by the parole board, there is nothing anyone...
Exactly, that's my very point. And what about his poor wife? Has she just got to put up with it?
With respect, Mr. Lawrenson, could you tell me, please, what it has to do with you?
I've told you. I'm very, very fond of Mrs. Granger. I'm most concerned. She's one of my most valued employees. And when I say fond, I assure you, I mean fond.
Mr. Lawrenson, I suggest that if this lady is herself seriously worried about the matter, then you advise her to come and see us and tell us.
She daren't. I use the word advisedly. She dare not. The man is dangerous and violent, and she's frightened to death of him.
Don't you like it, the coffee? Would you sooner tea, love?
No. Sorry, you know, I'll be all right. It's just my guts are a bit... Couple of days, I'll be all right, I will. Sorry, Jude, it's not much of a...
How is it now? Getting...
Oh, yeah, fine. Fine. They say fine. Go and see my own doctor at the end of the month and, give me a brand new set of plastic plumbing. Says she'll put on a stone and a half and weight and I'll be as right as... Feed me up, eh? When I feel like eating again. So... This is it, eh? Doesn't worry you being high up?
No. Nearer to heaven.
Sorry, Jude, I just don't have the taste, you know. Would you mind?
No. Late, was it? The bus?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, perhaps just a few minutes. Oh, I see. I mean, should you be at work now?
No, Mick.
Look,
No, really, Mick.
I'll be all right. I will. I'll have a bath or something. Lie down for a
No,
bit.
it's okay, honestly, Mick. Mr. Lawrenson said I could take the morning off. Take the whole day off if I wanted, you know, and see how it went.
Lawrenson?
Yeah, the chap who worked for me, boss. He's been very good. He said I could take whatever time I needed.
An egg? An egg, perhaps? Have you got an egg? And a bit of bread and butter, please. Could I have one? Would it be a lot of trouble? Would you mind?
Well, next time, just find out first.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
What about you then, George? What were you doing sending him in to me?
Mr. Lawrenson, ma'am? Well, he is the Liberal candidate for the next council elections.
What's that got to do with anything?
Sorry, ma'am. Thought you were a Liberal, ma'am.
I beg your pardon. Now, are you suggesting that if I was, that'd get him preferential treatment?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Well, for your information, George Parish, I am not a Liberal. And even if I was, he wouldn't be of any use to him, or either of the other two members of the party in Hartley. And what's more, if you ever even suggest such a thing as me being a Liberal again, I'll have you for slander. Roland, is that tea or coffee?
Coffee, ma'am.
Oh, I want tea, please. So the next time some middle-aged sugar daddy wants his girlfriend protected from her old man, you deal with it.
Is that what he was? Oh, I'll be good at that. Sugar, Dad. Oh, ma'am.
No, thank you, Roland.
Look, Roland, we don't all want to get our knickers in a twist, so would you... I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yes, well, just speak for yourself, Joseph. What's the matter?
Nothing, ma'am. Just a turn of phrase, not a matter of any great...
It's about them pornographic magazines that were confiscated from the primary school. I've put them in your desk in a plain brown envelope.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, what are these?
Don't know yet, ma'am. I haven't had a chance to inspect them, but following on information received...
Yes, well, don't keep them to yourself. I want to have a look at them, too, before they disappear from the station.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want a cup of tea, Sergeant?
Thank you.
Joseph, you've been in this area a long time, haven't you?
In Hartley? All my time pretty near, apart from a year or so at Warrington.
Does the name, what was it, Granger mean anything to you?
Michael Norman Granger.
I don't know, could be.
He's due out of Durham prison, I think it is, any day now, on parole. He was on the informations last week. His wife lives in one of the blocks on the Castlebarn estate.
Do you know him, do you?
No, can't say I do.
Macaroon, Sergeant.
No, no thanks. I'm just popping out to get some sandwiches for my lunch. There's a new Danish takeaway open round by the station. All that schmorbrod or whatever they call it. Care to experiment, ma'am?
No, no, thanks, Joseph, not today. I've got a lunch date with my old man. And I've got to get over to Buckshaw first.
Would you like me to fetch you some?
No, thank you, Sergeant. I don't like smoked fish.
George?
We're going to that wine bar Foxcroft has started in their extension. Have you tried it yet?
Oh, no, I haven't. I didn't know they had one.
Danish sandwiches. Wine bar. It's getting more like Morecambe every week.
How's headquarters?
What?
This morning, weren't you going to headquarters?
Buckshaw.
How was Buckshaw?
All right. Please don't force yourself.
Sorry?
Well, it's not exactly scintillating conversation today, is it?
No, all right. Oh, you know.
No, sorry, well, you know. No, sorry, well, I don't know.
I don't want to go away tomorrow on this course.
No.
All right, all right. I'm not saying I'm not going. I'm just saying I don't want to go. That's all. The nearer it gets, the less I'm looking forward to it.
Nonsense, don't be so soft. You'll enjoy it.
Maybe. Some of it. All the same.
I shouldn't if I were you. Staying in a posh hotel, all your expenses, wining and dining every night with the boys. And the girls too, I shouldn't wonder.
Should see some of the girls.
Sexist.
Yeah. Well, I think I will just have one more.
Tom, I really do think it would be better. I hope you're not driving anywhere this afternoon.
No, I'm staying in the office. Do you mind?
Just that you don't usually.
Got some nice sweets and things.
No, I'm not bothered, I don't think.
I called in at Waterfields this morning and got this.
Tenerife? I thought we decided we couldn't afford it.
We did. Cheap rates start at the end of the month. Furnished apartments, I reckon the three of us could do it for 167 quid each, all in. 3 7s, 21, 3 6s, 18, 3 1.
Did you say three of us?
5 5 and... Yes, I did.
Oh, no. Definitely no. I want a holiday. You want a holiday. I need a holiday, and so do you. I'm not having it ruined like last year by taking her.
Jean, she's your mother. Who are they? You know them?
Liberals, aren't you, smoked?
Pun?
I said they're probably liberals.
Pun?
Never mind. Look, Tom, I'm serious. If we go to Tenerife, we are not taking my mother. Now, is that understood?
No, it is not understood. And don't you start laying down the law with me, madam.
I'll see you tonight, dear.
Very well, dear. What time you be home?
Quite late, I should think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're in, Mrs. Granger. Well, you needn't have bothered, really. Adele and I would have managed to keep things going, wouldn't we, Adele?
I thought I'd better come in. I'd rather let these analysis sheets
Oh,
get...
don't worry, it's not the end of the world. Have you had a cup of tea?
No, thank you. I didn't really feel that well.
Is everything, are things all right?
Thank you, Mr. Lawrence. Yes, perfectly all right.
Yes. Well, then, yes. Well, if there is anything at all that... You know you only need to ask, don't you, Mrs. Granger?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Lawrenson.
It came back to me a bit later on. Michael Norman Granger, not a very nice customer. Borstal when he was 18, 16 months imprisonment straight after that for possession of stolen copper tubing. Then, not long after that, 12 months for tools by night. After that lot, he'd be what, 22, 23? It was then he really got started, striping people, wages snatches, in with a crowd of right nasties. I think he got another 2 or 3 terms after that, but he was lucky. It was always for small stuff. Then what he thought was going to be the big one, holding up a bank with a shotgun. 10 years he got for that. 2 charges, 10 years on each, running concurrent. Lucky. Thought myself they should have been consecutive. 20 years would have been more suitable. Mr. Justice Gilroy Calder.
Got a memory as detailed as that for every case, Joseph?
No, ma'am, it was just when the name came back to me.
2 charges, you said, 10 years concurrent on each. One was for holding up the bank with a shotgun. What was the other one for?
As Granger came running out of the bank, a police officer was passing. Tried to apprehend him. The gun wasn't loaded, but Granger brought the barrel down on the back of his neck. Smashed his shoulder blade. Put him in hospital for 5 months. Then he was invalided out the force.
10 years seems a bit light then, yes.
Very, I'd have said.
Well, we better keep an eye on him, eh, Joseph, if he's coming back round here.
Yes.
Hello, Mick. All right. Did you have a bath? Have you had anything to eat?
I tried, but
Yeah, well, in a day or two. Do you think you could eat just a bit of something if I make it us for supper?
you got any money?
Yeah, of course I have. Did you want some? How much?
Well, how the hell do I know how much things are?
I bought you these extra. I knew you'd rather have them than me.
I've got to get out.
Yes, of course you have, love. Look, if you like, we'll go for a little walk afterwards.
I've got to get out now.
No, but... Well, then, all right then, love, if you want to. Look, tell you what, you go out for a walk round or something, bit of fresh air, and then when you come back, I'll have something ready for us. Right? Well, don't be too long then, eh?
Well, what do you want me to do? Get down on all fours and beg for it?
What? Oh, yes, I mean, no, I'm sorry, Mick. I'm just getting it for you. Here. Here, take it. Take however much you want. Take the purse if you like, if you don't mind being seen carrying a woman's purse around with you. What were you going to buy, Mick? Most of the shops will be closing now.
I'm gonna go out. And on my own, I'm gonna go into a pub and buy a drink.
Yeah. And you could bring a bottle back with you, no, with that. Bring a bottle back, put your feet up and watch the telly, eh? All right. Well, enjoy yourself then, love. But don't be too long, will you, Mick? I mean, I'll have something waiting for you when... Don't be too long.
Oh, that's better. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Is that private wine, then?
No, it's just some that's left over from cooking. Using it up before it goes off. We're going to have another bottle with the,
Getting quite a taste for it, aren't you? How much are you drinking nowadays?
Now, look, darling, why don't you take that, and go and sit down, watch the television, read a book or something. Call you when it's ready.
Oh, the artist doesn't want an audience when he's in the middle of creativity.
No, the artist does not want an audience when he's in the middle of creativity. Look, do you mind not getting in my way?
Banished, am I?
No, no, it's your kitchen.
Look, I've been thinking about my mother. If we were...
Look, can we just leave that for a while?
Yes, yes. All I want to say was I'm sure we can talk about it reasonably and logically and not get upset about it.
All right, later, right? Now, why don't you go and take a bloody drink and, if you want to do something useful, open a bottle of wine that's in the rack.
I think some of us have already had quite enough wine for one day.
Well, tomorrow night, dear, in the hotel, thank God, I shall be drinking exactly as much wine with my meal as I like. Without snide remarks coming from you.
Yes, I'm quite sure you will.
Every 5 minutes. Oh!
Had a bit too much to drink.
Never mind, eh, love. Shall I make you... You like some black coffee or something?
No. I'm gonna finish off.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you do whatever you like, love.
And friendly lot of... I'm just gonna have a little naked. A little naked up and then I'll...
How are you, Chris?
Okay. Yeah, thanks. You?
Yeah.
I'm a late turn this week.
Chris, it's not a very good idea, you know, phoning me at work. I mean, the girl I work with, she's very nice and that, but, you know, I can't really talk or anything.
Get lost, eh?
No, Chris, it's not that. Only... Well, it is. It's going to take time. I can't just walk
How
out and leave
much
it.
time?
I don't know, Chris. He's much worse than I... They took out nearly all his stomach, you know. It's knocked all the stuffing out of him. He just sits there, like there's nothing left of him. I couldn't leave him like that. Not yet.
Yeah, well, we don't feel too sorry for villains, you know, we don't. And there's some of us think if a woman had sooner have a villain than an honest, straightforward copper, and there must be something in her that's a bit twisted, know what I mean? Double one, Mackie. I didn't mean that, Judy. I'm sorry, though. Go on.
It's all right, Chris. Perhaps you're right.
No, I'm not, Judy. I'm not right. You can't think straight. Of course you can't. I mean, of course you feel sorry for him, because you're you.
I don't know that it... I don't know that it just is sorry, Chris. I don't know. I can't work it out.
I mean, have you told him about us?
Not yet. I can't. He couldn't take it yet, Chris.
So you're enjoying it a bit more than you were then, are you? Good. And you're finding the daytime lectures and things useful, are you? Getting something out of it? Well, love, I think I better go now, okay? Won't be long before you're back home, eh? It's the longest time we've ever had apart, isn't it? Yes, and me too. Bye-bye, love. Take care. Bye. Yes, Joseph, what can I do for you?
I've just brought you that report on the gas meter bandits at Longley you asked for.
Oh, big stuff. Michael Norman Granger. Do you want to have a look at it?
I already have, thanks. It came yesterday, and as you weren't here at the time, I took the liberty.
I see he had quite a big operation or something on his stomach while he was inside. And he didn't get all that much parole, did he? Only 3 weeks before he was due to come out anyway.
Well, every little helps.
I don't follow.
To help him feel he's worth being given another chance to.
And your book is not?
Well, if he is, he hasn't so far shown much signs of taking advantage of it.
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
He hasn't stirred himself in the direction of trying to get a job yet.
Oh, well, I suppose I... How do you know that? Sergeant Beck, are you having a watch on this man?
I wouldn't say that, not exactly.
Well, what would you say exactly?
I've merely arranged with certain sources to keep me informed if and when he decides to look for work.
What certain sources?
I'm sure you wouldn't expect me to answer that, ma'am.
Yes, I would, actually.
Is that an order, ma'am?
Sergeant Beck, if you'd only recently come out of prison after doing 10 years and having a major operation...
6 years and 8 months, to be precise, ma'am. And less the 3 weeks parole.
Yes, all right, still. Well, wouldn't you want a little bit of time to get back on your feet?
Before I got on with planning my next wages, snatch a bank robbery, you mean?
Do you have any reason for suspecting that's what he's doing?
The best reason of all in my experience. Once a villain, always a villain.
That's what they always say, isn't it? They'll never give you another chance.
You've got to prove it. And you will. But a chance just won't drop out of the sky for you, Mick. You've got to go out and find it.
Oh, yeah. Like where? The job centre.
Yeah, some people do.
Even people who haven't got records can't.
They wouldn't look at me.
How would they know? And anyway, even if they did, you wouldn't be the first they'd taken. Not by a long chalk.
No good for work. No good for villainy. No good for anything.
That would be all right, Mick. You're not strong. I mean, how could you be? Look, you don't have to wait, you know, to the end of the month to go and see the doctor. You could go now and tell him how bad you're feeling. Go in the next day or so. Look, I'll have to go, Mick. We'll talk some more about this when I come home again, eh? Right? Mick, any way I can help you, I'll help you. You know I will. But Mick, some of it, just a bit, it's got to come from you.
Juliet. It's true, I do. I miss being in the Nick.
Well, it'll be all right, Mick. I've got to give it some time. It's bound to take time for both of us. It's bound to. Coming back.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Goodbye. Do you know the Welling area?
Oh, yes, ma'am. My mother has a cousin lives there.
And do you know Inspector Griffiths, who's in charge of the section?
No, ma'am.
Well, all I can say is put your request for a Welling transfer in writing and I'll forward it through the usual channels. Don't know how long it'll take.
I understand they're under strength at Moor Top, ma'am. I'd be happy to go there if there's going to be a big delay for Welling.
Does your mother have a cousin at Moor Top too?
Beg pardon, ma'am?
Well, you know what I'm going to ask you now, Christopher.
No, ma'am.
Why do you want to leave here in such a rush?
Well, it's not a rush, ma'am. It's just personal reasons, that's all.
Someone here in the section you don't get on with?
Oh, no, ma'am. Definitely not.
Would you like to tell me what the personal reasons are?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Yes, well. Very well then, Christopher, as I say, put it in writing and I'll find out as quickly as I can what the chances of a transfer are, both at Welling and Moor Top.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Christopher, I don't much care for great wafts of peppermint all the time. It doesn't cover it up, you know, the smell of alcohol.
Yes, ma'am.
Sergeant Parrish, is Sergeant Beck there? He's out the back, ma'am. Ask him to come in here, will you, please? Joseph, how well do you know that officer that's just been in here, Chris Evans?
Not very. He's only been here a few months. He's a rather quiet, withdrawn sort of chap. Keeps himself to himself.
And he drinks before he comes on duty. Thinks he can get away with it by coming to my office stinking of peppermint. You better keep a pretty sharp eye on him, and if there's any doubt about him, I want him on foot patrol immediately.
I believe Constable Whittaker's getting to be a bit of a mate of his. I'll see what I can find out, discreetly.
Yes, see if you can be discreet, Sergeant.
Ma'am?
Just had the manager of the Hartley Job Centre on the phone. He tells me 2 of his clerks have been asked to let you know if and when a man called Michael Norman Granger puts himself on their employment register looking for a job.
Yes, I did make that request.
The manager of the job centre also says that he's instructed his clerks in no uncertain terms not to comply.
Well, that's a very unfortunate attitude. I'm sure if we went and had a word
The
with
actual
him...
phrase he used was, "We are not a police state yet, are we? Not quite."
Oh, yes. One of those, is he? One of those lefties who...
Sergeant Beck, I am not proposing a debate on the subject. I am telling you, I won't contemplate things of that sort done without either my knowledge or my authority. Is that understood?
If you say so, ma'am. I regret the misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding? What makes you think there's been some misunderstanding? Did I not say to you that when someone's come out of prison after a long sentence, it is not surprising if they take a bit of time to readjust themselves?
You also said, if my memory serves me right, something to the effect of we must keep an eye on him. That's exactly what I was doing.
Yes. Yes, well, actually, maybe I did say something that sounded a bit like that. Perhaps I should have phrased it differently. I certainly didn't mean... Well, let's lay off him, at least to start with, shall we? Give him a chance not to breathe quite so heavily down his collar. Right?
If you say so, ma'am.
You may be right, Joseph. Only time will tell, eh? You never know. People do sometimes turn over a new leaf, especially if someone will give them a bit of help.
Everything all right, Mrs. Granger?
Yes, yes. It's all right, Mr. Lawrenson. Well, I was just going to ask you something, actually.
Yes?
I was going to ask you if there were any vacancies in the packing department or the dispatch or the loading bay. Or anywhere, really.
Vacancies in the... Oh, yes. Yes, well, of course, naturally, everything's consultation with the shop floor and so on. Well, I could bring it up at the fortnightly meeting, try and test the temperature of the well
He
water.
needs a job, Mr. Lawrenson. Any sort of job. He'd do anything. Sweep floors. You see, he needs a chance to get his confidence back again.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, if it was just me. Only, I don't quite understand that. I mean, you do know I had a word with the police, don't you, Mrs. Granger?
The police? Why? When? What for?
Well, I'm very sorry, but I was under the impression... Obviously, I was wrong. But one day, not long before your husband was due back, I couldn't help it. I overheard you telling Adele, I'm sure you used the word, Mrs. Granger, I'm sure I heard you say to her, you were frightened.
Frightened? Well, perhaps probably I could have done, Mr. Lawrenson. But I didn't mean I was frightened of him.
Well, I'm very sorry, Mrs. Granger. Obviously, I got quite the wrong end of the...
I mean, and now, no one would be. I mean, he had a very big operation on his stomach when he was in...
Yeah, well, perhaps he should try and get light work to start with somewhere, don't you think? Clerical work, something on those lines. And, you know, if it proved all right in, say, a few months or so, well, we'll see if we can't find him something here. What I mean, after he's, you know, sure his health can stand up to it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Lawrenson.
There's not murder I want to hear. It's little woman welcoming hubby home night. Imagine it.
I think so, Mum. Just.
What do you mean you think so, just? Tin of homemade leek soup, packet of Fiesta paella, and a frozen blackcurrant delight. What's wrong with that?
Sounds a real feast.
Well, he's been stuffing himself all week in a posh hotel. Won't do him any harm to come back to reality. Did you want something urgent, George?
Just a word about Sergeant Beck, Mum, when he wasn't there.
Oh, yes. What about him?
Him and that man, Michael Norman Granger.
Yes.
I know Joe feels a bit, well, the way he does feel. Now, he'll not say anything, but I thought you might like to... I think you ought to know something for the good of general understanding, as you might say.
You telling tales, Sergeant Parish?
Yes, Mum.
All right.
That officer that Granger got invalided out, he was a PC called Harry Weaver. He was Joe Beck's best mate in those days.
Oh. Yes. Well, that does throw some helpful light. Some. Thank you, George. And I won't mention to Joseph.
I don't mind if you do, Mum.
Would you like to lay the table for me, love?
Yeah.
Go on, would you? I don't want this to spoil.
Oh, Joe.
Chris, what are you... Chris isn't my husband. Mick, Chris.
He said he wanted to see you. He said he'd got to see you.
Chris, go home, love. You're drunk.
Came to see you, Jude. There's something I want to say.
Chris, please.
No, it's very short. Excuse me. Bye, Jude. On. Yeah.
So long then, Joe.
I'll just do your food and then I'll...
Don't cry, Jude. I love you. Please don't cry.
For another drink? Hey, you watching this?
Yes, I am.
How long's it gone for?
Oh, only another 5 minutes. Excuse me. Did you cook the packaging with that as well?
Thank you.
Good jump by Jordan.
Yeah, you're not really watching this.
You're right, I'm not. I'll tell you what. I'll give up anything for you. Leave it.
Oh, sure. Yes, hello? What? When was it? Yes? Yes? Right.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, there's always tomorrow night. Afraid I've no option, it's urgent. An old woman's been knocked down and killed in Market Street by a drunk driver.
Accident? Drunk driver? Don't usually get called out for that.
No. All right, come on then, son. Well, start talking to me.
PC Bentley makes a bizarre discovery behind a fish and chip shop. Juliet Bravo continues tomorrow at the same time here on Drama. Next, though, it's The Bill.
I used to know most people in Hartley.
Funny how places like this have turned into dormitory towns.
So many newcomers around these days. Can't point the finger so quickly anymore.
Oh, come off it, George. Strangers add a little spice.
The quiet life has its attractions, Mum.
Morning, Joe.
Morning, Mum.
Morning, Danny.
Morning, Mum.
I'm speaking at the Rotary Club this lunchtime. Ta-da!
That might stir a heart or two.
I trust you referred to the content of my speech.
What else, Mum?
I never know with you.
Simple mind, honest heart, man.
I wish I could believe you. Kettle on.
Where are you going?
Out.
You've only just come in.
Yeah, I'm going out.
What are you doing upstairs?
Nothing.
Rummaging, opening and closing drawers.
In my own bedroom, ma'am.
Looking for what?
Nothing. I'm going to complain about that dog.
Our neighbours are not at home.
To the police.
Is that wise? You don't want to go to them.
And you are my sister, not my keeper.
Don't go.
I saw a ghost this morning.
John?
I saw a ghost.
John? Come here. Are you telling me the truth?
About what?
Why you're going to the police?
Yes.
Then what's all this about a ghost? John? Answer me.
4 years ago, I made a promise never to lie to you again. I'm going to the police to complain about that dog.
John Lambert.
Oi.
Sarge?
I said tidy the cupboard.
That's what I'm doing, Sarge.
Oh, yeah. Morning, sir.
Good morning, Sergeant. My name is John Simpson. I wonder if I might see your inspector for a moment.
Perhaps you can tell me what it's about, sir.
Inspector Longton is our guest this afternoon.
Rotary Club.
Yes, and there are 1 or 2 details I'd like to confirm, and there's our sponsored walk coming up. 1 or 2 things. But if the inspector's too busy.
Oh, I'll see, sir. You're new to Hartley, Mr. Simpson.
Fairly.
If you'll wait a moment, sir.
Thank you.
Come in.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Do a bit of shooting, do you?
No.
Oh, it's just they tell me rabbits are back in numbers up on moors. Yeah, well, if you don't do any shooting...
The inspector will see you, sir.
I'm very grateful to you, Sergeant.
Mr. Simpson, man.
Lambert?
So good to meet again, isn't it? Of course, the last time we met, you were in CID in Blackstone. Such a very ambitious person, aren't you? And so successful.
We've got an accident, Clough Bank, likely to prove a bad one by the sound of it. Give the inspector a bus.
Right, Sarge.
Answer it. Answer it.
No, we want 4 pints of milk today.
If there's petrol on the road, yes. You better warn the people in the cottages.
Sarge?
We could do with someone else to control traffic. Oh, Sarge, will Inspector Longton be coming out?
Yeah, she'll likely be attending. No heroics in the meantime. Wait till the fire service gets there, eh? Hartley out. Danny? You seen Danny?
No. Wonders will never cease. Just had this handed to me on the street. Found out there, apparently.
I've got another accident. Clough Bank.
Get away from that door. I have a gun.
Sergeant Beck,
Yes, ma'am?
do as you're asked.
Yes, ma'am. Brian. I don't want anybody coming into the station, but don't let on there's anything out of place. You take charge out there, all right? I'll get onto the division. I'll need some more men.
What about CID?
Yeah, I think Bernie Duckworth's still up there. I'll let him know. Brian, I'm going to pull in some of the off-duty lads and get George Parrish back. Keep them out there for the time being, but not too obviously. Let's keep things nice and quiet, eh?
Right, Sergeant.
Now then.
There's nothing to be gained by this.
Danny.
Oh, how familiar. How intimate. Danny. Well, well.
Mr. Lambert and I know each other.
Of old. And with a certain kind of intimacy. What's your name?
Sparks.
Well then, Danny, I'm going to punish your inspector. And in front of a witness now. But no matter. Even better.
Mr. Lambert, whatever reason you might have...
She called me Lambert when I came in here. No, mister. I've gained some respect in the last few minutes. How do you address your inspector?
Mom.
Say Kate.
Mr. Lambert.
Say it. Look at her. Say it.
Danny.
Kate.
Good. I'm the only one in this room with status now. Let's not forget that, Kate. Just to make you feel better.
Oh, Canada's still here. Who is he?
I don't know. Called himself Simpson.
Armed?
Probably. Bernie Duckworth's going through the telephone directory, electoral roll, firearm and shotgun register.
Did he come by car?
I don't know.
Have you talked to them yet?
He's taken the telephones off. Hey up.
No, you may not speak to her. Though, on second thoughts, why not?
Yes, Sergeant. Yes, we're both well. Yes.
Now then, Sergeant, you know that I am armed, and all is well. I'm going to kill your inspector.
Chief Constable, please. Sir, the firearms squad's on its way. Yes, Kate Longton is fairly new to Hartley. Oh, seems a sensible lad. Yes, sir, as soon as possible. Sergeant Beck's solid enough, he won't panic. Anyway, the negotiator will be there soon. Superintendent Austin. Yes, I'm on my way now, sir.
If the firearms squad's involved, I better start getting organised.
Yeah, clear as many cars as you can.
Yeah.
What about evacuating the houses down there?
Do you want Kelleher in here?
Yeah, he's a marksman. They're bringing a weapon for him from the HQ. You know that idiot Sparks? He just barged in there.
Oh, come on, Joe. It's not your fault. He's so young. Hope he keeps that big mouth of his shut.
You'd better get somebody to start closing off some roads down there.
Yeah.
And keep people away from the boss's window. We don't want to panic him in there.
You look a touch untidy, Kate. Put your jacket on the floor. No. No, at your feet. Now put your feet on. Good. Why did you follow me?
I don't understand.
Here to Hartley.
I was transferred.
You followed me.
No. You've moved into the area?
None of your concern.
Just an assumption.
A correct one. But I was here first, wasn't I? We know each other, you see. Tell him.
What?
How you persecuted me. She stood on that witness stand so smug. Tell him.
I arrested Mr. Lambert.
Oh, how very superior. Arrested. Persecuted.
There's no John Simpson in the director and he's not in the electoral register. I'll give Vince Calder a ring, see if he's come across him. Criminal records are getting back to me.
All right, Sarge. Sergeant Parrish asked me to come in.
Yeah, I know. How are things out there?
Quiet.
Get hold of that steward of the social club. What's his name?
Henry Bride.
Yeah, ask him to open up the hall. We need an assembly point. We may have to keep the firearms squad out all night and anybody else who shows up.
How much should I tell him?
The truth, if you have to. Ask him to keep it to himself.
How are things in there?
Quiet. Hope we can keep it that way.
Let's have those blinds down.
Do as you're asked, Danny.
He does as I tell him.
Danny?
Go with him. And keep apart.
Yes, Miss Lambert. Look, I wonder if you'd ring this number. It's another police station. They're dealing with things today. Your brother?
Yes. He ought to have called in to complain about our neighbour's dog. I tried to dissuade him, but he insisted, and... Well, since he doesn't go out much anymore, What? Oh, he was wearing a beige overcoat. Yes. It's a Ford. Granada.
Yes, he has been in, and we've taken down the details. Yes, he's well, Miss Lambert. No, there's nothing to worry about. Since you're on the phone...
He must have given you our address. It's number 15...
This won't get you anywhere, you know.
Tell him, Mom. What will you tell me, Inspector?
There's really very little to tell, Mr. Lambert. Still, I do believe... Shh.
Hasn't it gone quiet out there?
So, sir.
Right, now we can listen to what's going on in that office. I'd take up a position just to the right of the, just the left of the interview room.
Right, sir.
You done this before?
Not for real, sir.
You'll be all right, just keep your head down.
Aye.
CID are on the way to see the sister, sir, with WPC James.
Right, first get onto the GPO and get them to intercept all incoming calls, reroute them to Hilden Station.
Yeah, I've done that, sir.
Good, good. See if you can get a separate wireless channel going for us.
That's right, sir.
Now, on my way over here, I got onto traffic, asked them to man checkpoints in case he decided to go driving with the hostages. Superintendent Austin, the negotiator's on his way over here. Now, in terms of probable use of firearms squad, I see you've started to move parked cars. That's good. The squad will need their perimeter clear. I'd say they're in here. The raid group will be in here. maybe the support group. The cover group will take the front and rear of the station outside. Right, this working?
Just have to pick it up, sir, and it'll ring in there.
Right, let's get a taste of what we're about.
The sergeant has been busy. We're graced with a chief superintendent. No chief superintendent. I'll only speak to the sergeant, and when I decide. Just in case you thought I was in jest. And one of them's for you.
We know how very distressing this must be for you, Miss Lambert. He's ruined, you know.
What do you mean?
He's been to prison.
How long ago was that?
He was sentenced to 2 years.
What for? Miss Lambert.
Young girls.
Where were you living at the time?
Oh, Blackstone. He owned a very large and thriving business.
Blackstone. Happen to know who the arresting officer was?
Yes, a Sergeant Longton. A lady. A nice lady.
Would you mind coming along to the station, Miss Lambert?
I don't particularly want to talk to him.
I don't think you'd be allowed to, Miss Lambert.
I understand. I'll get my things. He could be shot, couldn't he?
Don't think it will come to that.
But it's possible.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
Time to take those pips off, I think.
No.
Yeah.
Be reasonable, Mr. Lambert.
It's all right, Danny. I don't mind taking them off.
It's her fault, you see.
I had to make that arrest. You know that.
Do I? If you hadn't pried into my life, watched me,
Yes. It must have been very distressing for your sister.
it was my life you ruined. Can you imagine what it was like? Being looked at, stared at, and how my sister felt?
Perhaps she suffered enough.
Look, what's she got to do with this?
She would understand what responsibility is. And duty. She knew I had no choice but to arrest you.
Look, you have no right to wear any of the trappings of authority. Now, take them off. She spied on me. Then she stepped out of the shadows. Mr. Lambert, I'm arresting you. That cost me my life, you know.
You're still a comparatively young man, Mr. Lambert.
Oh. You see, she can't be trusted.
Maybe she's right.
Fresh start, you mean?
Yeah.
I tried it. I came here, didn't I? There she was again. In uniform. Here. Do I move again and again?
Not necessarily so, Mr. Lambert.
I live in dread of being in any place where I'm recognized. And that's why you must be punished. Take your boots off.
Oh, come on, Mr. Lambert.
No, Danny. I'll take my boots off. You really want me to take them off?
No, there's no need.
That's better, Mr.
Danny,
Lambert.
please.
Although it would be better, would it not? To kill without the trappings.
There may be other ways of looking at things.
This situation's not negotiable.
That depends on what you consider the costs to be.
Might distress my sister, poor gentle Anne,
Yes?
and be arrested for murder.
In all probability.
Oh, it's not negotiable.
Surely, yes.
When it's a life, for a life,
It needn't be that.
that's That's such a fair deal, isn't it? A life for a life. Such an honest bargain.
What have we got? Sexual deviant. Single. Out to get Kate.
But that type can't handle women. They're frightened. I hope Kate doesn't push it too far. Let's have another go. Mr. Lambert, I'm George Austin.
That's not relevant to me.
Perhaps not, but I'll do all I can to help.
Where's the sergeant?
Out for the moment. There's nothing to worry about, Mr. Lambert. I'm sure we can sort something out. It's you, Joe. Or nothing.
Shall I have a go, sir?
In a moment. I don't want to push him. So what do you think? It may have to be your decision.
Not go in there.
Eventually, perhaps. Joe, offer him refreshments. It's me, Mr. Lambert.
Oh.
Sergeant Beck. I've just got back. I was wondering if you'd like any tea, sandwiches, anything you like.
Refreshments. They're playing for time. Well, I've got plenty of time.
Sergeant was only trying to be helpful, Mr. Lambert.
Here's the sandwiches. And of course it was even worse. In prison. When they found out. Oh, if only you'd used your discretion.
Why pick on the inspector?
Of all the people I met after I was arrested, of all the very dubious places where I was locked up, only one person ever saw my weakness, this one.
I was with the constable, Mr. Lambert. He saw you too.
But he didn't follow me here, did he?
I was posted here.
And women are so compliant, do as they're told.
Maybe that's my weakness.
Spare me the humility. It doesn't wear well on you.
You've a right to an opinion, Mr. Lambert, but I won't lie to you.
You want me to believe that you always do as you're told.
No, but I have to when I'm faced with a gun.
Now we're being subtle.
No. You say you've come here to kill me.
Yes.
Am I allowed to disagree?
You challenge me.
From a position of weakness, yes. But I challenge you.
Well?
What if I said you'd come here to humiliate me?
If that's your definition of death.
You'd like me to undress, wouldn't you?
No. But I really believe I'll have to kill you now.
She's pushing him too far. Say something, Kate, for God's sake.
Stand up.
Mom.
No. Stop. Sit down.
Whatever that lady's doing, she's going to take one risk too many. Try again. Don't like that silence.
Shall I answer that, Mr. Lambert?
No.
It might be important.
No.
They might want to negotiate.
I have nothing to bargain. I've no wish to speak to anybody. And if they try to barge in here, what chance have you got? I know that. And they know.
You never know, Mr. Lambert. After all, no one wants to hurt you.
Sit down, boy. Enough nonsense from you. Stop. Again. Stop. Walk. Stop.
Shall I walk again?
You'll do as you're told. Sit down.
Did you tell your sister?
No.
But you came here. Does she know?
Oh, yes.
What did you tell her?
Well, I was going to complain about a neighbour's dog.
So you didn't tell her the truth?
Well, how could I tell her about this?
Yes, Mr. Lambert.
After I was arrested, I promised I'd never lie to her again.
I remember your sister very well.
Do you?
Oh, yes. A nice lady.
Yeah.
Do you think she'll forgive you? For lying to her, I mean, about why you're here.
Face the wall. Mr. Lambert, don't.
So, since the trial, you never lied to your sister?
Please, Mr. Lambert.
Danny is too concerned, Mr. Lambert.
I've never lied to my sister!
Until today.
Face the wall. Mr. Lambert.
She deserves the truth, don't you think, after the promise you made?
She'll understand.
Will she?
Yeah, I know her.
Do you?
I'm her brother.
And she's so proud of you.
How can you know that?
She told me. All your kindness when you lived in Blackstone. All the good things you did for the community.
I don't want to be reminded of those days. They're gone now.
It's
Thanks
not
to
too
you.
late, Mr. Lambert.
Face the wall!
Mr. Lambert.
She might never forgive you, Mr. Lambert.
She will.
I think not. You've lied to her.
We've lived together all our lives. She will forgive me.
Will she, Mr. Lambert?
Yes.
It's always good to have proof. I mean, that your sister's forgiven you.
Then ask her. Ask her.
What's the number?
Hartley. 682 998.
I want to be connected to Hartley. 682-998, please.
There won't be any reply.
Well, we have to play along. I hope Kate can convince him to see sense.
She's out. Shopping, perhaps? Now, we'll never know, Mr. Lambert, one way or the other, whether she'll forgive you. Shall I ask them to send a car to wait for her?
No. No, never. Anne's never going in a police car again. They brought her to the police station when I was arrested. Never again. We'll go to her.
They may be coming out.
Right. Frank, behind here. Right, they could be coming out. If you get a clear view of him, a clear chance, kill him.
This is what Mr. Lambert wants. I've promised him it'll be carried out. He wants his car, a Ford Granada, registration number Uniform Golf X-Ray 419 X-Ray, brought round to the front entrance. It's parked outside the supermarket. This door will be opened. If Mr. Lambert sees anyone, he'll kill me. If the corridor is clear, the car keys will be thrown out.
And the keys will be returned to me.
Sergeant Beck, Mr. Lambert wants you out here. Mr. Lambert wants you to promise me that no harm will come to him.
Yes, ma'am.
I want a promise.
I promise, ma'am.
It's very important that promise is kept, Sergeant.
I understand, ma'am.
Go on.
It's all right, Mr. Lambert.
You can trust the sergeant, Mr. Lambert.
Can I be of any help, sir?
Just keep your promise, that's all.
Wherever you're going, I mean.
None of your concern.
Mr. Lambert's right, Sergeant.
Yes, ma'am.
What are those people doing down there?
I don't know, Mr. Lambert.
You must know.
They probably stopped the traffic so we can get away safely.
Now, who's lying?
I'm not lying, Mr. Lambert.
It's not safe, is it?
The sergeant gave you his promise, didn't he?
He's only a sergeant. No, it's not safe. We're going back inside. He'll kill me given a chance.
No, Mr.
You're lying! I want my sister brought here, or I'll shoot now. And tell them.
Mr. Lambert would like to see his sister in here as soon as possible, please. In the circumstances, I think that's a reasonable request.
Well, not normally. No relatives.
Was there any choice?
In this case, no. We'll have to let her in there.
Why the delay?
I don't think there is a delay, Mr. Lambert.
There is. No, I mean what I say. Tell them.
We'll do that, ma'am. Would you ask Mr. Lambert if I could speak with him?
Mr. Lambert doesn't want to speak to you. She'll be here soon.
Look, I don't want her upset. Think the world of her, you know.
Yes.
Is it time yet?
Let's give it a few more minutes, Miss Lambert. Allow enough time for the drive from your home.
You'd have shot him, wouldn't you? Answer me.
He is endangering someone's life, Miss Lambert.
Oh, John. The time has come for plain speaking.
It's important, Miss Lambert, that you don't antagonize him.
After indulging him all my life, maybe it's time.
Well, I can't urge you enough, Miss Lambert, not to say or do anything that...
Time to stop the nonsense. Should I go in now?
Just a few more minutes, Miss Lambert.
They're taking too long.
They'll be here as soon as they can, Mr. Lambert.
I won't wait much longer.
Now.
Mr. Lambert, your sister's here now. No, there's no one by the door, and she will be on her own.
John? I remember you.
How are you, Miss Lambert?
But there's only one thing. Tell her you'd forgive me if I lied to you.
No.
I don't think your sister means that, Mr. Lambert.
I do.
Miss Lambert?
Lambert is probably by the desk, but that's going on voice alone. His sister sounds as if she's somewhere between the door and the desk. Kate is probably out of the line of fire.
Are we going in?
Possibly.
Sir.
Wait.
tell this policewoman you forgive me for lying to you this morning.
Miss Lambert.
Only this morning. He's lied to me all his life.
Miss Lambert.
It's my fault as much as yours, John.
Tell her you forgive me.
I knew for years about those unpleasant photographs in your bedroom. I knew about your little walks, your packets of sweets, your smiles, for years and years.
Look, tell her you forgive me for lying to you this morning.
One more cheap little lie. What price a clear conscience?
Miss Lambert, your brother doesn't ask much. Please.
Now, you thought you were being so careful. Your charitable works, your tea parties. But I saw you. I saw the things you did.
Spying on me. Like her.
That's all in the past, Mr. Lambert.
She followed us to Hartley, don't you understand that?
No one would follow you anywhere, not without you offering a bribe or a false smile. Look at her. Look at her. She's a woman, you see? A woman. Touch her. Just touch her. Go on. Then pretend she's a small girl. Even when I'm dead, the world will be full of women and small girls. Go on, John. Do it. Do it now, if you think I deserve it.
I'm the one who deserves it.
Perhaps.
Oh, tell me what to do, Anne.
You know what has to be done.
Do you forgive me?
Yes. Now.
Mr. Lambert, your sister's only saying these things, only doing these things to save me.
No, she's right.
To save me, Mr. Lambert.
That's not true, John.
Anne.
No, not true.
It is true. Don't lie to him.
Are you lying to me? Anne, help me.
I've tried and tried.
Help me.
Maybe would be best. And not damage any more innocent young lives. And peace for us both.
Yes. You're right. No more lives.
I think he's going to shoot himself. His mood's changing fast.
Mr.
Yeah,
Lambert.
sure. I wish Kate had shut up. She's trying to stop it.
All clear to me now.
There's no need, Mr. Lambert. Give me your hand. I'm going to stand now, and you'll give me your hand. Give me your hand. Please. Give me your hand. There. There, Mr. Lambert. May I take that now? I'll leave you both together for a moment. Joe,
Ma'am?
protecting life and property sometimes has its problems.
Yes, ma'am.
With all this manpower about, I don't suppose anyone's had time to put the kettle on.
Very wrong, ma'am. There's been nothing else to do out here.
Trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
You having black?
This looks black, wouldn't you say? All things considered, 1 cup of percolated coffee, black.
You always have white.
What today I'm having black?
Well, would it be tactless to ask why?
Because I fancy it.
Something wrong with it? Come on, what's up?
Nothing.
You look like an undertaker who's lost a corpse.
Very nice.
Dearest Gwen, happy returns and so much love on this milestone day. Your loving husband. Jack.
Toast.
What's so important? All for you?
Bill for you.
Fan mail?
Perhaps.
Oh, my God. It's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
And I forgot.
If you say so. One for my mother.
Oh, Jean, I'm sorry, I clean forgot.
One for my auntie in Blackpool.
You're not really upset, are you? Hell.
Morning.
Morning, Mum.
It's not Armistice Day, is it?
Well, that's on a Sunday, Mum, usually.
I thought we're having the 2-minute silence.
Nice day, ma'am.
Is it?
I meant the weather, ma'am. Crisp and bright. Autumn sunlight over the hills. I went for a walk early this morning and listened to the dawn chorus.
I see. I think I need a cup of tea. David, would you make one?
Certainly, Mum.
That would be very good. No sugar. Thank you. Oh. Oh. You awful lot of beggars. You remembered how smashing.
Many happy returns, Mum.
A little cake. I'm quite touched.
On the question of the cake, Ma'am, you won't be wanting it all to yourself, will you?
We'll polish it off over David's tea, shall we?
Good thinking.
And if I might say so, Mum, you still don't look a day over 38.
Cut the cake, shall we?
No, thanks. No, I'm just looking. Excuse me, do we know one another?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, it's just that you seem very interested in me and what I'm doing.
Did I?
I don't particularly like being stared at.
Naturally.
Look, I hope it's not terribly rude, but what possible concern is my shopping of yours?
Well, it's certainly my concern, but I'm not surprised you put out. No doubt I've interrupted your activities.
What?
You understand me, I'm sure.
I've absolutely no idea what you... Oh, I see. You, are you the store detective?
You really didn't know? You didn't realise?
Well, as a matter of fact, no, I didn't.
You certain of that, sir?
Look, can we get this straight? Are you accusing me of shoplifting?
You weren't given the chance this time. Fortunately for us. Right.
What?
You. Stay just where you
Please.
are. I saw you.
Please.
I saw what you did. Oh, no, you don't.
Oh,
you get back
please.
in there. Go on. Get back in there. That's all right, that's right. You stand there and don't you dare move. Ah,
I'm really
here we have
terribly
it.
sorry.
Oh, yes, of course you're sorry now.
Don't you think you're rather overstepping the mark?
This individual's a shoplifter, caught red-handed.
Yes, all right, but I mean, is it necessary
I'll
to
pay
row
for
me?
them. Please let me pay for these
It's a
things.
bit late in the day for that now, isn't it? Yes. You should be thoroughly ashamed of yourself. A man of your age who should know better, who should be setting an example.
Yes, all right, well, I think you've made your point.
Leave this to me, please, sir.
Come on, enough's said.
Yes, bring on the tears
Oh,
now.
stop this now, come on.
Stay out of this, please, sir. It's none of your affair.
Well, look what you're doing to the man. It's absolutely monstrous.
He brought it on himself.
But he's an old man. Absolutely no right whatsoever to treat him like this.
Are you two in collusion?
I beg your pardon.
Is this man your son, or your friend or associate, or so? You know him, don't you?
You're crazy.
It's an old trick. You distract my attention while your friend here pockets the goods. Whoever would suspect a white-haired old man?
Look, I want to see the manager, please.
Am I right? You transferred here shortly after Inspector Widdop arrived?
Yes. He was a good boss, Bill Widdop. Knew his men. Grand copper, that man.
So I've heard.
Right.
It'll all be a bit strange at first, Ted. You must expect that. Take time to adjust, I expect.
No doubt, ma'am.
But you'll have plenty of time for your fishing now.
Not really. I'll start my new job tomorrow, you see.
Tomorrow? Huh. Don't let the grass grow under your feet.
Best way.
Oh, certainly, certainly. You're going to a job at Hubbard's, aren't you?
That's right. Taking over there as store detective.
Still a policeman, then, of sorts.
Of sorts.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Fletcher. Morning. I see, and you're prosecuting? That's for certain, is it? All right, we'll send somebody over. Yes, Mrs. Fletcher, right away. Mother Fletcher's dangling another scalp.
And who's Mother Fletcher?
You're about to find out. Shoplifting arrest. Hubbard's in the High Street. Attend.
Such.
And watch yourself, lad. Young men have been known to return never to be quite the same after a session with Mrs. Fletcher.
Sounds nasty.
She is.
I want to know. Am I to be included in the arrest?
No.
They were in it together.
Oh, for 2 bars of chocolates and a packet of peanuts? Hardened criminals, aren't we?
I didn't mean it.
I fully accept there's been some misunderstanding here.
I don't know what came over me. I honestly don't.
A momentary lapse. Didn't realise what you... Oh, I've heard that one time enough.
Don't you think you've done enough to this man?
What will my wife say?
You should have thought of that before.
Mrs. Fletcher.
Please don't tell.
It's all right, now don't worry.
Well, she's bound to know when you come up in court.
Leave it, please. I'll handle this. What is it, Mrs. Collins?
There's a policeman here, Mr. Rutherford.
Did you call the police?
Of course.
I have asked you not to involve them without first consulting either me or Mrs. Collins.
Ah, Constable. Mr. Darley.
These 2 men were involved in a shoplifting incident.
Now, just wait a moment.
Well, are you sure of that, madam?
What do you mean, am I sure?
This man is the husband of Inspector Darby of Hartley Police.
I really do think you owe this gentleman an apology.
It seems I was mistaken.
Mr. Darby, I can't say how sorry I am under this.
Yes, all right. What about our friend here?
Mr. Gilbert will be prosecuted.
No, there will be no prosecution.
Excuse me, Mr. Rutherford, I insist.
It is not your place, Mrs. Fletcher.
He stole those articles right in front of my nose.
Possibly so.
He's admitted it. You heard him. I want him in court.
Will you please leave this office and return to your duties? Oh, Constable, there's been a mistake. You shouldn't have been called in. We don't wish to press charges.
I'm sorry, sir. A complaint has been laid and I'm obliged to record it.
This is most unfortunate. Mrs. Fletcher acted out of turn. We don't wish to make an issue of this.
This gentleman was detained in the street with items he hadn't paid for, yes?
Well, yes, that's it.
Then this incident has to be reported to my superiors. I want to hear Mrs. Fletcher's account made in front of the gentleman here so that he's familiar with the details of the accusation.
I'm aware of the procedures.
Right. Oh, I don't think we need to keep Mr. Darby any longer.
What about Mr. Gilbert?
I'm afraid he must stay here a bit longer, yes.
Well, in the meantime, I think you could do with a cup of tea, don't you?
What are you doing employing a woman like that? She's a monster.
Mrs. Fletcher's been with us for very many years. My father employed her originally. Very effective. She saved this store many thousands of pounds over the years.
But hardly the image for the friendly family store.
The pensioner has admitted it, but the store don't want a prosecution.
They just want us to do their shouting for them.
Not really, Mum. He's not come to notice before. They'd rather forget the whole thing.
Then why tell us?
A mistake, apparently. The store detective acted without authority.
It was Mrs. Fletcher phoned us, ma'am.
Mrs. Fletcher. I see.
I doubt if we'll have this problem when Ted Williams takes over a job, ma'am.
Very well, David. Put in your report. I recommend no further action. The store aren't bothered. Why should we get excited? It's their profit margin.
The amount involved is irrelevant. He's a thief.
A pensioner. Probably a bit hard up, you know how it
There's
is.
right and wrong must be punished.
Mrs. Fletcher. When? Why don't you ease up a bit, eh? This is your last day here.
I would have preferred to work till Saturday.
No, that's very generous, but it's the end of the month and we've a new man starting tomorrow.
I'm prepared to show him the ropes.
No, that won't be necessary.
Well, what time would you like me to come upstairs this afternoon?
Well, I do believe both Mr. Richard and Mr. Charles are in conference all day.
I see.
And Mr. Derrick is on holiday.
I know about Mr. Derrick.
But I shall be here, of course, to see you before you go and wish you well. It is unfortunate, most of the directors being tied up on the day you're leaving.
Not my choice. Retirement's been forced on me.
It's the store's policy, Mrs. Fletcher.
All female staff have to retire at 60. But, come and see me before, well, at, 5. Come and see me then. Well, you're the manageress. I leave these things to you.
Well, frankly, I haven't given it a thought.
But can't you rustle up something this afternoon? She's been here 25 years. She can't just leave empty-handed.
Mr. Rutherford, nobody's going to contribute towards a retirement present for Mrs. Fletcher. Everybody hates that dragon. Half the girls are terrified of her. She hasn't got a friend in the place.
Here we are. Good. Well, Gwen, on behalf of the directors, I should like to thank you for all the work you've done here. Your services will always be highly valued. And, well, here's a little something. A small token of our appreciation. Have a very long and happy retirement, Gwen. Best wishes. Made any plans at all?
No, I've no plans.
Oh, well, you've plenty of time now. Well, I should run along now, Gwen. Nobody's going to mind you leaving early on your last day.
No.
Is anything wrong?
I'm a little surprised, Mr. Rutherford, that's all.
You're surprised?
Yes. I understood it was normal practice for an employee with as many years' service as mine to be invited upstairs for a glass of sherry with the directors on the day they retire.
Well, they'll all be very sorry to have missed you, Gwen, but as I explained...
Last week, Miss Scott left to get married. She'd been here 10 years. She was given a big send-off, wasn't she? A wine and cheese do in the canteen. The staff clubbed together and gave her a set of silverware. You made a speech.
Oh, Jennifer was a very popular girl.
I know well enough what some of the young girls think about me because of the job I've done. But this kind of treatment I did not expect. I've worked in this store for 25 years. Without a day's sick leave, I've given up my holiday entitlement when it was necessary, the busy periods. I've dedicated my life to my work here.
Your work will always be greatly appreciated.
And the best you can do for me is a shop-soiled box of chocolates.
Well, have you got nothing to say?
Yes. Is the Queen coming to tea?
Well, it took me a bit of effort, all this, you know.
I can tell. You daft ape.
Am I forgiven?
What's cooking?
Kebabs.
Are you sure? Is that wise?
Well, you cheeky so-and-so. I've even made some hummus and this retsina to drink.
A Greek evening, in fact.
And happy birthday, Heartbreak.
Is this Greek too?
Actually not.
Not perfume. Feels like a big sausage. A bit hard for a sausage, though.
Yeah, it's not a sausage.
Very phallic.
It's a bit too early for that sort of talk as well. Well, come on, open it. Well, not like that. It took me 15 minutes to do it up. But it's an antique shop. What do you think?
Make a good rolling pin.
Man in the shop said it was used by the Bow Street runners.
All of them.
Don't you like it?
It's grand. I've always wanted one of these.
Thought it was sort of symbolic. You know.
It's lovely. Very good. I'll hang it in the hall. Didn't shoplift it by any chance, did you?
You heard about that, did you?
It was mentioned in passing.
Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Your first name, Mr. Williams?
That's right.
Yeah. You look like you're on duty. Now, beware of rich old ladies. They're a dangerous breed.
Thank you,
And
Mrs.
remember, it's better to deter than detect. So, when you arrest, make a bit of a fuss, make a stir about it. That way, other customers who might have funny ideas will be warned off. Oh, yes, and keep an eye on the steely goods, as we call them. That's the small, expensive items. And young girl assistants, you know, watch out for them. I've had my eye on that one over there for weeks now. She's pocketing, I know she is. But she's a clever little trollop. Cat crafty.
Mrs. Fletcher, would you mind letting me get on with it? I don't need advice. I've been a copper too long.
That's obvious. I mean, it's no good standing about like some great pudding for all the world to see. Any good shoplifter would spot you a mile.
Oh, she's there again.
What is this? What is she up to now?
Mrs. Fletcher, something I can do for you?
Just looking around.
Well, I can see that.
Christmas shopping. Huh. Thought I'd started early this year, avoid the rush. Something wrong with that?
No, if that's what you're doing. Only you've been here several times this week, almost every day, in fact. It's as if you've never left.
Well, it is the only department store in town. There's not much choice for shopping here in Hartley.
Yet you never seem to buy anything.
I have to be careful with my pension.
I see. This arrived this morning, marked personal, addressed to you by name. We were going to forward it, but you'd better take it since you're here.
All right.
Why bring this to me?
Why? Because I want something done.
What exactly?
I want that woman brought to book.
On what grounds?
Writing that filth. There's a law against poison pen letters.
But this isn't a poison pen letter. It's a straightforward account of events. It says that following the incident at the store, Mr. Gilbert suffered a minor heart attack and spent several days in the cottage hospital, that he's still in a very weepy, emotional state. His doctor has had to prescribe tranquilizers.
And she blames me.
No, not exactly. She asks if you don't feel at all responsible over what happened.
She has no right to suggest that.
There is nothing here that warrants police action. If you want to take this further, get a solicitor to write a letter asking for an apology.
I can't afford a solicitor on my pension.
We can't help you.
I shall go round to this woman myself and give her a piece of my mind. Her husband is a thief. She conveniently overlooks that fact.
If you want my advice, you'll forget this. Mrs. Gilbert seems to have enough troubles to be going on with.
You're no longer employed here. You have no function.
Well, that brickhead proved incapable of nabbing the girl. Look at him. I gave you fair warning, but oh no.
Mrs. Fletcher, I will not tolerate your coming here and disrupting the working routine of this store.
So that's the thanks I get. I've just done you a favour.
It's nothing whatever to do with you. Not anymore. Mr. Williams here is now the store detective.
And a fat lot of use.
Go away, Mrs. Fletcher. You have no place here. You're not wanted.
I'd like to come along with. Inspector would like a word with you down at the station. This way, please.
Just what are you hoping to prove? Trying to be one up on Mr. Williams? Prove that you're the better detective?
That wouldn't be difficult.
Or are you getting your own back at the store over the way you treated when you left?
Who told you about that? Well, what's going to happen? Am I to be charged?
Not this time, no. You gave many good years' service, and the store are not anxious to see you prosecuted.
Oh, very noble of them.
But if you don't stay away in future, steps may be taken.
Stay away? From the store?
I mean just that.
I can't.
Why can't you?
It's my place, the store. It's where I belong.
Why do you keep going back there?
I have to.
Have to?
I don't know why. It seems to draw me back.
But you left over 3 weeks ago. You've retired.
I pensioned off, put out to grass.
You're not liking retirement.
How am I expected to spend my days? You tell me. Watching the sun fall in the afternoon sky like the old men in the park? No, madam.
And so you go back to the store?
Oh, they don't want me, I know that. I'm a leftover, dumped on the rubbish heap of no further use. Nobody needs me, not now.
You're a widow.
Jack's long dead, 20 years dead.
So you've no one?
There's Kate. My daughter, Kate. Haven't spoken to her for 10 years.
She in Hartley?
She hates me, my little Miss Kate. Oh, she said so, quite plainly.
Why does she?
I'm not approved of, madam. Oh, no. She was ashamed of the job I did. Wouldn't even invite me to her wedding. The things I taught her, she trod on. Decency, discipline, respect, the difference between right and wrong, standards. The ways I abided by all my life. My Katie turned her back on. Oh, yes, too stuffy for the likes of her. I reared that girl in upright Christian values, and in the end she hated me for it.
Perhaps she didn't mean it, not deep down. Folks sometimes say things
Most definitely she hates me. But I'm used to that.
You could be a grandmother by now. Ever think of that?
I couldn't care if I am.
Are you a churchgoer? Involved in church activities?
Not anymore. Jack showed me the light there. God gave us the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not steal, that's one of them. They're quite specific, madam. A code to live by. But a church... Oh, no, the church says, no, he didn't mean that quite, he must have meant this. There's the Old Testament and the New, so we have to alter things, bring it up to date, yet there it is. 10 rules, disciplines. The Lord said, these are my commandments. Commandments, madam, he used the word. It means something. Laws to be abided by. Break them and you'll land in hellfire.
Have you no outside activities, hobbies, interests?
I must be kept here.
No.
I'm free to go.
Yes. Who's your doctor, love?
Edwards in Castle Street.
Seen him lately?
I should I am not ill.
I think you should go to him. Today. Go today. He'll likely give you something to settle you down.
I don't need settling down.
Obviously, you're having problems adjusting to retirement. Suddenly you're in a vacuum, without a daily routine, nothing to fill your time. It's common enough.
Is it?
I think so.
You make it sound all very straightforward.
All right. She's not on the prowl. She's behaving herself.
Thank you. No! Coward. Coward's way. I don't need any advice from you, thank you very much. I've been a policeman for 200 years. Well, you just think you have, my friend, stood up there like a militia beacon. Couldn't have that little trollop, though, could you? No. Don't. Scratch your head, and you'd find splinters in your fingers.
Hey!
There! Oh.
Stop her!
Mrs. Fletcher? I found your front door open, love.
I stole all these things. over the past 3 days, shoplifting at the store. He couldn't catch me, didn't have a chance. Because, you see, I know all the tricks. 25 years of trick. Only, I wanted to be caught, arrested. I wanted to be found out. So today, when I made sure I was.
You must come with me, love.
Oh, yes, yes, I know I must. Yeah. I sat in that house for days on end. I kept seeing these faces, face after face. All the folk I'd arrested through the years, it all kept coming back to me, the hysterics, the times I got punched and spat on, the bleeding hearts, the ones that tried to bribe me, the excuses and the tears, the appearances in court. It all kept going through my head. When I was working, you see, I never had time to sit and think. The past just rolled up behind me like a carpet, but suddenly there was nothing else. Why did you become a policewoman?
Fancied the uniform.
Oh, try.
I wanted something positive out of a job.
I applied once. No good.
I see.
So I took this job as a store detective. Oh, and I knew the directors didn't have much time for me. They saw me as a necessary evil. I mean, I saved them money, stopped some of the thieving. But to me, standards had to be upheld. Badness had to be punished. And that was my task there. Do you see that?
I think so.
I've never done anything wrong in my entire life until 3 days ago. I've never taken anything that didn't belong to me. I've never told an untruth.
Then you're quite exceptional.
I obeyed God's laws. Jack taught me Christian values, and I tried to uphold them in my job. Oh, and I knew I wasn't popular. Well, you don't expect that. It shouldn't be easy. But then when I left, well, they were so unkind. I mean, I did what was right, and I thought, how could they treat me like... Then I got that letter. Well, that old pensioner, I mean, he stole things, and that was bad. Yes? But that letter, the things it said about me, about me harming that old man and making him sick, was that wrong? I mean, what I did, was it wrong?
Not wrong, but perhaps you've been a bit black and white. Things are never simple. People do daft things. They make mistakes.
I'm so confused.
You've got to be a bit flexible, make allowances.
I've acted badly.
No, not badly, love.
Will you charge me? You must charge me.
Love, I am making a note of everything you tell me. I shall ask a doctor to see you next. He'll make a report, and then...
Will I go to prison?
I don't think so, love.
What will happen to me?
It depends what's best in the light of the doctor's report.
Well, I can't believe it. It's impossible.
The value of the stolen goods is estimated at £1,200.
Why? What's happened to her?
She's ill. Very ill. She can't be left alone. She mustn't go back to her house. She must be looked after until her future's been decided.
Well, I hope you're not looking to me. I only came down because, frankly, I was so amazed. This, after all she's said and done, all she's held by.
Your mother's in a very bad way.
Well, I'm not crying. My mother. Well, I've tried with her. For years I tried to reach her. She's loveless. She can't love, and she's incapable of being loved. All she was interested in was that bloody job at the store. Obsessed by it. I've seen her at work there. The grief she brought to folk over the years, the sanctimonious bitch. She's intolerant, So utterly intolerant.
She's had simple beliefs. They've blinkered her. She put everything she had into that job, and when it finished, she was lost. Now she needs a bit of help.
Well, she's not getting it from me.
She is sick with remorse.
Well, unrewarded self-righteousness, no doubt.
Is that all there is to her? Can nothing be said for her? She's got guts, that's for sure. Takes some guts to live the way she has. She's believed in things. That's worth something.
She's been completely misguided.
She knows. Now she knows. It's floored her. Your mother's in a bit of a mess.
Well, there's nothing I can do. Nothing I'm prepared to do. I don't want to know.
I found this in your mother's house. It's a birthday card from your father.
He's long dead.
Your mother bought the card, wrote in it, and posted it to herself. We all need someone. I've got someone. Some days he's not much cop, other days he'll do, but he's someone. Gwen, there's someone here to see you. Constable, we'll be outside if you need us.
Mother? Mother, I've come. Mother, I've come here. You're to return home with me. Live with us until this is sorted out. It won't be easy. We both have to try. You know that. You haven't seen your grandchildren to date, have you? 2 of them there are. 2 girls. The right handful. Mother, hold me. Reach across. Just take my hand.
Next on Drama, we catch up with London's finest police. The good folk of Sun Hill are on the beat. In the bill.
Will you get up, please? Will you please get up? Clive. For God's sake, don't just lie there.
Why not? It's my life, just. Despite all your efforts to take it over. So leave me alone. Thank you, darling. Oh, that's better.
Hangover?
No, not in the least.
Really?
Well, not a bad one. Nothing that a stiff drink wouldn't put right.
Of course I'm taking it seriously, Mrs. Unwin.
I don't think you are.
Well, why else do you think we've come out here?
It was at the end here. He was creeping along.
Creeping, madam?
You have heard the word?
Well, I just wondered in what way, you know.
No.
Well, was he standing up creeping or... Well, you know, like, crawling along creeping? Oh, I'm just trying to picture it, that's all. I mean, in the middle of the day, I thought somebody would have noticed.
I noticed.
Oh, yeah, I meant other people. If it was that odd.
Presumably, he didn't want anyone to notice. All I know is that as soon as he saw me looking out, he started to run, as if he was scared.
And where did he go?
Straight out the other end. Leads out onto the avenue. I only contacted you because it was on the television.
On the television?
Last night, I was making my hot milk. The television was still on, one of those little films. It said that if you see anything suspicious, don't hesitate to tell the police. So I didn't hesitate. That's why I phoned you this morning.
But do you recognise the man?
Of course not. It was much too far away.
What he was wearing, though, you recognise that?
I suppose so. It was rather odd.
How do you mean?
Well, he was wearing a funny hat.
A funny hat?
A Macintosh. An old Macintosh.
Oh, so you don't think it was a neighbour, then?
I assume you are going to do something about it.
How dare you open my letters?
It's my business as much as yours.
Not if they're addressed to me.
Oh, don't play stupid games with me, Clive.
I will not have you sticking your fingers in every single aspect of my life. I won't put up with it. Whatever the mess we're in, I still have some rights.
Please, Clive, don't do this. Let's not.
Do you need custody message, ma'am?
No?
Well, we caught our night burglar. Gave us a bit of a chase around, but
What a complaints file, Joe. Can I see it?
It's just the usual, ma'am. Noisy dogs, noisy kids, noisy music. For a quiet place, we get an awful lot of complaints about noise, ma'am.
Probably that's why. Lavender Drive. A friend of mine lives in Lavender Drive.
Oh, I've just come from there. Lady would rather like a personal bodyguard.
Yes, well, they do tend to think we're their own private police force.
Well, you can tell your friend not to worry too much. We've had no burglaries reported in that area.
I might just do that. No problems, George.
Apart from the usual.
Good.
You reckon we ought to offer our assistance in some way?
Well, that's what we're here for.
Morning.
About that, another gem from the past by the Nashville team.
This is
Now then,
ridiculous.
it's Tuesday. It's 12 after 9.
Don't shush me. How dare you talk to me like that? Now go to school. But you're late already. There'll be no point going soon.
Why are you looking at houses?
I don't know.
You must be cracking up then. We've got a nice house. You're a pride and joy. Have you got it so perfect that we've got to move on now? Is that it? That was a joke in case you didn't realise. I do know what's going on.
Linda? Is that you, Linda? It's Kate.
Oh, hello.
What's the matter? You sound awful.
Oh, nothing. It's just a cold. It's a bad cold.
Are you sure?
Yes, really.
Well, perhaps I better ring back another time then.
No, I'm all right. It's just first thing, you know. Well, it's nice to hear from you. You don't think I'm going to let you go now, do you? I'll probably have to wait another couple of months before you ring again. Well, was it anything special?
Well, if he threatens you, give us a ring. Yes, we're open all night, sir.
Have you got the complaints file, Joe?
It's George. Fine, you do that. Not at all, sir.
That lady in Lavender Drive, what number she live at?
14. Can I get you a cup of tea, Matt?
No, thanks, Joe.
We'll have to talk to her.
You will.
I saw the police, Linda.
Oh.
To be perfectly honest, they didn't seem to share my concern.
Well, I must say, I do tend to agree with them. People do use the footpath. Kids going to school.
It wasn't a child. It was an adult.
Well, perhaps...
He didn't look anything like a child.
Well, it could have been
He
something...
ran when he saw me. Why would he do that? Oh, if I'd only seen his face, but he wore a sort of hood. Last night I hardly slept. Every time there was a creak or the windows rattled. You read about it all the time. Women on their own.
Oh, I'm sure no one would know.
Of course they would. It's very kind of you to try and reassure me, Linda, but I am not by nature an hysterical woman. If only I knew someone in the police. Don't you know someone? Someone who might bring pressure to bear? A word in the right ear, that's all.
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
We don't have to play. It's nice just seeing you. That's the main thing.
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit low at the moment. Nothing serious. What is it?
You're not going to tell me?
No. No, really. It'll sort out, I'm sure.
Fine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pry.
Anyway, it's not fair to burden you. I'm sure you've got quite enough on your plate.
Isn't that what friends are for?
To burden them? No, I don't think so. I'd call that an imposition.
Or trusting each other? Wanting to help? Depends which way you look at it.
Hi, thank you.
Hello. How's your work, Kate?
Fine. Fraught, but fine.
But you managed to find time to have a drink with me. It can't be that fraught.
It's always fraught.
But why today? At such short notice.
I made a resolution to keep things in perspective. Not to let friendships slide.
Is that really the reason?
And because you sounded so upset. Why? Is that wrong? I'm not that inhuman, you know. Work doesn't occupy my every single waking thought. That'd be fatal. For the work as well as me.
I hope that's true.
What do you mean? Thank you. Linda?
I thought...
couple of your men came round this morning to my neighbour's house. I thought you were probably following it up, you know. I mean, you're a policeman too, aren't you? Not just a friend.
You know why they came round?
Yes. Mrs. Unwin, my neighbour, she told me.
Well, you're right in a way. I suppose I thought it was curious, the coincidence. Knowing that there'd been this report and that we'd been round, and then hearing you so upset on the phone. I was only worried for your sake. I still am. I don't generally go chasing up minor complaints personally. I'm perfectly willing to believe this is a coincidence, because for a start, I can't possibly imagine what the link could be. Why don't you reassure me, though? Or can't you do that?
He's in there now. He must be still in there. Why don't you force an entry? Knock the door down.
Let's get this quite clear first. You're sure it was the same man?
Yes, he was wearing the same clothes. He went straight through into their garden.
You actually saw him go into the house?
Yes.
You saw him break in?
Yes. Well, no, not exactly, but he must have done. How else could he have got in? By the time I got to the gate, he'd gone. And then, just as I was turning back, I saw him. Well, I saw his back disappearing through their kitchen door, and then it closed behind him.
Right.
Not going to answer the door, is he?
Just in case anyone's in, madam. It really wouldn't do to knock the door down if the owner's sitting inside having his tea.
I've told you, there's no one.
The same.
Mr. Markham.
Yes? Is something the matter?
You're the owner of this house, sir?
Yes? Why?
Well, just your neighbour thought she saw someone behaving suspiciously around the back.
I did. He broke in. I saw it.
You would have noticed, sir. And this lady says he came in here. I mean, if you're upstairs, they're big houses.
No one has broken in. I promise you that. I've been in the kitchen having a late lunch. I think I would have noticed.
And you haven't used the back door yourself, sir, in the last half hour or so?
No, I haven't.
But I saw you go out first thing.
That's right, Mrs. Unwin, but you didn't see me come back, apparently. Must have been too busy looking out of your back window, watching out for phantom intruders. Now, if you'd been standing in your living room, you'd have seen me drive up clearly enough.
Where's your car, then, sir?
In the garage. Now, if you don't mind, I've come back loaded down with paperwork. I'm very rarely able to get away before 6, and I was hoping to have an uninterrupted afternoon, so if there's nothing else...
I'd better have a look inside, sir, just to make quite sure.
Look, I've already told you.
All the same.
Well, I'm hardly likely to lie about it. Unless, of course, the intruder has got a gun trained on me from the hall, which I assure you is not the case.
I dare say. But I'd like to check, just the same. It wouldn't look very good if somebody had got in. I mean, without you knowing.
Well, I don't have much choice, do I?
Thank you, sir.
It's good of you, Mrs. Unwin, to keep such a close eye on our house. I've been meaning to thank you for a long time.
I'm not offended. You've every right to tell me to mind my own business.
I didn't tell you.
Well, not exactly.
I've got to think of Clive. I've got to be fair to him. He wouldn't want me to tell anyone. I know he wouldn't. You really are clever. You're so clever.
Shut up.
No, I mean it. Congratulations, your timing's marvellous. I go to lunch with Kate Longton, trying hard not to seem too depressed, and while I'm out, you have the police round. Isn't that clever?
Don't blame me.
But you shouldn't have come back, Clive. We agreed.
Oh, what does it matter?
Of course it matters. They'll compare notes. They're probably comparing notes this very minute.
I thought she was your friend.
She's also a policeman. She was suspicious enough anyway.
But we haven't committed a crime. So why don't you tell her?
Because I've been trying to protect you.
Me? You're not trying to protect me. It's your own self-esteem you're bothered about. How the neighbours see us, what your friends think. Oh, don't you kid yourself, because you certainly don't kid me. Not anymore, anyway. I could have coped with all this if it hadn't been for you. I might have been able to anyway. Julie understands. She doesn't think I've stopped being a human being. She's not ashamed of me. How does it make you feel knowing that your daughter regards you with utter contempt? That she cannot stand the sight of you? That your daughter hates you? I'd like to know, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel as good as it makes me feel? Oh, I hope so. I really do.
For God's sake! Linda! What do you think you're... Oh! Oh, God! Oh.
Well, it's just as they're friends of yours, Ma'am. I thought you ought to know.
You're saying that Mr. Markham was lying?
Well, yes, Ma'am, I suppose I am. I mean, as far as I can tell. You see, he said he'd brought a load of paperwork home. But there was nothing there that I could see. I looked round the whole house. You know, for the alleged intruder.
Well, it's probably in his briefcase or in his desk.
Oh, maybe. But then I saw this hat and coat on the bed. And they fitted the description Mrs. Unwin gave. And he also said he'd driven home. Said he'd left his car in the garage. I had a look, just as I was going. The garage was empty.
Well, did you tackle him about it?
Well, no. I thought I'd have a word with you first.
I don't know, Brian. All I'm saying is, if he's taken to nipping home in the middle of the afternoon in funny clothes, the mind boggles, don't you think?
You're speaking to me as a married man now, are you, Mum?
I don't know, Brian. All I do know is that Linda is very unhappy. I think it's best if we keep as far away as possible and let them sort it out. Yes? I see. Thanks. Yes, I will. Cancel that.
Sorry, Mum.
What I just said. I'm going right over.
Your neighbour said she heard shouting, you see. And a scream.
She's a neurotic. Haven't you realised that yet? Well, it's understandable. Her husband died last year. It's difficult for her. But you don't want to take what she says too literally.
So there was no row then?
Well, we had a disagreement, a bit of a row, but that's all.
So how did you cut your hand?
Is this really necessary?
There was a record of the call, sir. I'll have to make a report.
I cut it on a glass. Stupid of me, I know, but there you are. I was washing it up and it broke in my hand.
I see. Useful thing to have, is it?
What's that?
It is a dishwasher, isn't it? Thing that does the washing up for you.
I'm afraid I get rather irritated with all these gadgets. I haven't got much time for them.
I see. I'll get it, sir.
Thank you.
I'm getting used to lying to the police. I seem to be rather good at it.
Cut his hand?
He's saying it was an accident. He broke a glass while doing the washing up. Said they had a disagreement.
What does she say?
Not a lot. I'd say she had a go at him, but I don't know how, man.
Where are they?
In the kitchen, man.
Thanks, Joe.
Hello, Kate.
Clive. Hello, Linda.
There was no need for you to come, Kate. It's all been a silly misunderstanding, really.
Would you like me to have a look at that cut, Clive?
It was an accident. I told you, Sergeant.
It looks a bit uncomfortable.
Not really. Well, just a bit, yeah.
Why don't you let me have a look at it? For your sake.
Let her, Clive. Please.
Okay.
Come on, let me. Sit down. How did you say it happened?
A glass. I was washing up. I was drying it too hard. And well, it just shattered.
It's a bit too deep and clean for glass.
I can't know what it looks like. I'm telling you what happened.
The pieces are in the bin, Kate. Over here.
There is a broken glass in there, Mum.
You see?
Well, I think you should go to hospital and have it looked at, whatever the cause.
There's no need for that.
You may need some stitches to stop it scarring, and you'll need an anti-tetanus injection. Sergeant Beck will drive you there.
It won't take long, sir.
I'll get my coat.
I think it's time you told me a few things. In fact, why don't you tell me everything?
I don't know what you mean.
Come on, Linda. I thought you were more sensible than that.
I don't know what...
Or are you really so proud you'd risk another row like that? You might be more serious next time. Have you considered that?
Don't.
Has Clive lost his job, Linda? Is that what's happened?
Do you mean I've been wasting my time? All my efforts didn't fool you? Well, I'm sorry.
Tell me if I've got this right. Clive is driving to work as normal every day.
Do we have to go through all this?
Linda, I'm in a difficult position. You and Clive have concealed information from us. That's true, isn't it?
Go on, then.
Well, he parks his car somewhere. Where does he go?
He parks at a railway station so he can get the train home.
Then what does he do?
Anything to fill the time. He even goes after jobs sometimes. Or he used to. He's lost the will now. He's been turned down too many times. He's too old, you see. At 39. They like them young in computers. For 4 years, he did marvellously. He could sell anything to anyone. Then, I don't know, he was ill. Exhaustion, really. Everything went to pot. You see, when your sales go below a certain level, when you're no longer the golden boy, well, there's always someone waiting. Someone a few years younger. They were generous. Gave him the car. Gave him quite a handsome golden handshake. But they've destroyed him along the way. All three of us.
I'm so sorry.
That was 5 months ago.
He's been out of work for 5 months.
I couldn't take it in at first. Couldn't accept it. I didn't want Jill to know. She's coming up to her O-levels. We developed this routine. Clive couldn't bear being here all day, so he'd drive off, as you say, park the car, go to the library, stroll around, go to the pub even sometimes. He'd fill his whole day like that. But then Jill found out.
How did she react?
She understood how Clive was feeling, how depressed he must be. She blamed me for not doing enough, for not doing anything, she said. But how could I? My life was in tatters too.
She's only a girl. Everything's so cut and dried at that age, isn't it?
Anyway, he started sneaking back. He couldn't bear being out all day, frittering the days away. But we've done so much damage to each other these past few months. Every time we see each other,
We get to screaming point so quickly now.
And today?
We surprised even ourselves today. We reach new heights. Nosy neighbours, the police. I told Clive she'd see him, but he won't listen. He's past caring. I have to drive him in my car to pick up his car every evening. Isn't that absurd? To say nothing of the waste of petrol.
Linda, I've got to ask you this. Did you attack Clive with a knife or something? It wasn't a cut from a glass, was it?
No. It was the bread knife. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? But he was saying how Jill hated me. I know, she does. But at that minute, it was just too much. I'd have been so happy if he'd been lying there dead then. I would.
Thank you very much. That was Inspector Longton. Your wife says it wasn't a glass. You didn't cut your hand on a glass. She said it was a bread knife.
Is that all she said?
She said she was holding the bread knife.
Holding it?
That's what she's just told Inspector Longton. Not what you told us, though, is it?
No. I didn't want to get Linda into trouble. I knew the police would never understand.
Try me.
Well, it's true. She did have the knife. She grabbed hold of it. She was upset. She didn't know what she was doing. We'd had a terrible row. I'd said terrible things. She did not attack me with it. She just stood there holding it. I was scared. I admit it. I panicked. I tried to grab it from her. And that's how I got myself. She pulled away. My hand slipped.
You're willing to make a statement, are you, saying that?
Why do you want a statement? It was an accident.
Kay?
Oh, hello, Jill.
I recognise you, Clive. Is everything all right? Nothing's happened.
Nothing serious.
Where is everyone?
Well, your mum's in the kitchen. No, not for a moment. She's had a bit of a shock. She and your dad, they had a row.
Where is he?
Well, there was a slight accident and he cut his hand. One of my men's taken him to hospital. He may have to have a couple of stitches, that's all. He'll be back soon.
They were fighting, weren't they?
I wasn't there. Your dad says he was doing the washing up when he broke a glass.
He would do, wouldn't he? But it's not true, is it? I can tell. I can see from the look in your face.
Look, that's what I'm trying to find out. Your mum and I have been talking about it. It won't take long. So would you mind waiting in the living room?
Was that Jill?
Yes.
Where is she? I want to see her.
I've asked her to wait in the living room because I still don't quite understand what happened. It's important that I know exactly what happened.
I don't know. I can't remember.
I think you do.
Oh, Linda, I told the sergeant it was an accident, that you were holding the knife. I tried to grab it from you. My hand slipped.
Joe?
In the other room, sir, please.
Is that it? Is that what really happened?
Yes.
Are you sure? Look, I want to believe you, Linda. But you said something to me earlier. You said you'd have been happy if he'd been lying there dead. Those were your words.
But there's a difference between thinking and doing, isn't there?
Yes, of course, but I have to be sure. Well, as sure as I can be. Look, I want the truth, Linda. Did you attack Clive?
No. What he said is the truth.
Excuse me, Mum. It's the young girl. She hasn't been to the hospital, or if she has, she didn't talk to anyone.
How about friends?
Well, I've rung up everyone I can think of.
You don't know half of them.
That's probably where she is. She's probably sobbing her heart out on some friend's shoulder. Or else she's sitting somewhere feeling silly, wondering how she can come back without losing face.
Can I borrow your car?
I put out a description. All my men will be looking for her.
Maybe I stand a better chance than a policeman.
Well, she wouldn't go in there, would she, Sarge? She doesn't sound like that sort of girl.
What are you talking about? That sort of girl. She's a kid, isn't she? Kids are all the same.
Oh, is that right?
It is, yes. The thing about kids is you don't know them. You think you do. You think you know them inside out, then wallop, right between the eyes. Just like that. You don't know what hit you.
Nothing to do with... Well, nothing to do with Simon, is it, Sarge? If you don't mind me asking.
I do mind.
Hang on there a minute, Danny.
Right, Sarge.
Where's your car, sir? Back there?
Yes, why?
You want me asking what you're doing here, sir?
Looking. Thinking. Is that a crime?
Just checking. Oh, yeah. What happened to your hand?
I cut it.
So how long do you plan to stop here, then?
Until I finish thinking. Is that all right?
Look, what is this? I haven't done anything, have I? Oh.
If I have, perhaps you could tell me.
Live round here, do you, sir?
Yes.
Where exactly, sir?
You mean you want my address?
If you don't mind.
Why?
Well, I thought, if it's on our way, we might drive you home. Don't you think that would be a good idea?
Oh. That's very kind. I can drive perfectly well.
You sure about that, are you?
Anyway, I'm not planning to go home. It's the last thing I want to do.
You're married, are you? Do you think a chap might help?
Well, that's what we're having, isn't it?
In the warm. Over a cup of tea. Things don't seem so bad sometimes if you talk about them.
Yeah, well. Why not?
Will you tell us, please, Julie? Why did you do it?
I told the policeman, the one who found me.
Well, I think we have a right to know.
Come on, Lovey. Come on.
I just thought, walking along the high street, all the shops with the lights, I just thought, well, if it wasn't for all that, all those things that they're trying to make you buy. Well, I know it's dreadful losing your job anyway. Dreadful for everyone, I mean. But it wouldn't be so bad, would it? It wouldn't be quite so bad. I mean, if there weren't all those things that you've got to buy. I suppose you'll say it's silly talking like that. Silly and unrealistic. You're probably right.
No.
I'm sorry.
I'd like to talk to your parents, Jill. If you'd wait outside a minute. George?
Kate, I don't know how to apologise.
You know I can't ignore this, any of it. We'll have to submit full reports.
I rather thought you would, yes.
Well, what'll happen to her?
As I said, the arresting officer will be putting in a report.
And?
It's a first offence. I'll take that into account.
Will she go to court?
I can't say officially, but unofficially, no, not this time. She'll probably get a caution. But if anything like this ever happens again...
It won't. Believe me, it won't.
I hope not.
You've been a very good friend, Kate. Thank you.
I can assure you friendship doesn't enter into it.
No, but we do appreciate it.
I'm only doing my job, Clive. I'd say the same to anyone in your situation. Now, as for what happened earlier, are you still saying it was an accident?
Oh, yes. It was an accident. That's the truth.
Very well. There were no proceeding.
Is that all?
What else do you want me to say?
Perhaps I could see you again soon, Kate. A game of badminton?
Not for a while. Do you think?
No. No, all right.